day before yesterday, I found what I had been looking for, what I had been telling y'all since we started talking about this. That 2024, people knew that this year was the year. Okay, I told y'all I wondered since Coach Prime was in the league, 1989, right, to 2005. I went back. I wondered what was the climate? What was it like for QBs? Y'all know we did Gilliam, you did everybody, Warren Moon, we did the people in the 70s, we did Dante Culpepper in the 90s, right? But Coach Prime was 89, so after the 70s, and 2005. So before like 2010 and all these guys. So when Coach Prime was in the league, the QBs were like the Joe Montanas of the world, right? And everybody, for the most part, was white except for one person, uh, Donovan McNabb. So if there were 12 quarterbacks with the late 90s, the early 2000s, meaning Coach Prime was 89 to 2005, it was just Donovan McNabb as starters. We're talking about starters here and people that were labeled the best. So out of 11, only one was black. And then what I began to notice when I started to look, I started to go up. I said, okay, that's to 2005. Let me look at like 2010. Let me look at 2010 to 2019. So what I began to notice with that era is Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, then you got Geno Smith and Tyrod Taylor, right? So it begins to slightly change, right? And what I began to notice is instead of asking just who the best quarterbacks were, they began to rank the starters. So they began to, as the league began to diversify and brown, they began to separate. Instead of telling me the best quarterbacks, now I'm telling you who the best starters are. So starters are very important, right? We know the quarterback is key, but we know the QB1 is him, the face of the team, the face of the franchise, could be the face of the league, depending on who it is. And then I noticed that when you get around 2020 and when you get to like 2023, 24, instead of like it was when Coach Prime was in the league, 11 QBs, one is black, it's about to flip the other way. And I found the stories that I was looking for that said in 2024, the NFL broke a record where black quarterbacks were concerned. A record was broken where black quarterbacks was concerned for the first time ever. There were 15 black starting quarterbacks. That's in 2024. We just got to the 2025 draft. So that meant I was spot on. That meant Cam was 16, Shedeur was 17, and Milroe 18. So if they put that together in 2024, right? You telling me the record is broken at the beginning of the season, it's 15 black quarterbacks. The season starts in August. That meant before the Super Bowl in Las Vegas in 2024, they knew exactly what was going down in the 2025 NFL draft. They knew that the elite black QBs coming out of this draft were going to be what? The majority. And guess who is the chosen one? Shedeur. Not Cam, not Milroe. Milroe's 18. You don't need 18 for the majority. The majority is 17. And then Cam was just 16. So it's like, you know, and when you read it, it shows you that the record has gone back and forth so many different times that people are well aware of this. So let me ask y'all this question. Why didn't you hear about this on any platform? Oh, historically, black quarterbacks have really made gains in the NFL that in the 2025 draft, the one we're getting ready to watch right now, the second quarterback to be taken will become the majority. That will make black quarterbacks the majority of the starters. You didn't hear nothing like that. And they've been doing this since 2024 down pat, since the beginning of the season in 2024. So yes, I now believe that when they went back to Charles Woodson, are you still interested? Come over here. I mean, he said it. They just rushed it all through. Come over here, meet the owner of the Cleveland Browns. They knew exactly what they were going to do. But the question is, did they know who they were going to do it to? See, because when the Super Bowl ended in 2024, I mean, it was around what, January 2024, February 2024, the next class hadn't been set for college yet. Or is that 2025? That's 2024. So the next class hadn't been set for college yet, right? So we talking February 24th. Now we pushing on August, right? So they already knew. See, I told you I knew. And it's documented. And they talk about it in the article, but they don't ever talk about it on TV. And that is exactly why Shedeur Sanders was pushed out of the first round. And then the excuse came in, the collusion. Take that and title so and so off the board. Nobody in their right mind, when given any type of evaluation about a person's character by 4 different people, listens to the only negative one, unless that's what you want to do. And that's what they did. So here's where we are now. So yeah, people saw Jackson Dart dancing, but they also saw his stats and, stories saying that the Giants regret Dart. Here's the thing. Do they really? Because they knew who he was. Shit, I knew. I told y'all, it said it. It said it. It said Jackson Dart hit his ceiling in the Senior Bowl. But see, they worked so hard to disparage Milroe so they could get Dart right to where they want him. So here's the question. Who really was behind Dart out of Ole Miss going to the Giants? Is it somebody with a connection, a family, a lineage to the Giants and Ole Miss? Was it the GM because his daughter go there? So yeah, I'm in on it too, and this will help me keep my job. So if we defame Shedeur, nobody won't think anything because we'll just say he trashed. Okay, Shedeur was not born the day of the draft. He already has a history, but they truly believed if they disparage and defame him that it would stick, and it's not sticking. Here's where we are right now. I got one comment that says what you said. It's becoming apparent because there's a show happening in Cleveland, and apparently this came from ESPN where they're talking about trying to get Kirk Cousins with the Browns, and somebody asked the question, why y'all keep getting these old guys like that, right? And they say, you know what you said is true. They are trying everything they can to keep Shedeur Sanders out of the QB1 spot, right? Because now that I unearthed the article, and I'm just gonna have to put it in the video, I was spot on. Shedeur Sanders is number 17. Cam is 16, and Milroe is 18. That's why you never heard about Milroe. That's why they don't really talk about Cam. And I think they starting to hear the chatter that you don't talk about Cam. I think they're gonna start talking about Cam to try to push Shedeur out the way. That's not gonna happen. Because what? I said Shedeur has motion. And what he has, they didn't give him. So you can't take it. And you clearly can't stop him from being drafted. So you can't smother his motion because they're not your people. He's considered a leader on and off the field. You can't disrupt what you did not create. They can't even keep Travis from dancing. And for fans that are upset about that, I'm starting to think they just don't want to see these black players happy because that's crazy. Travis balled out in OTAs, and Jacksonville fans talking about they're worried about Travis. You better be worried about Trevor. That's who you better be worried about because that's y'all problem right there. And honestly, if Travis end up getting hurt due to Trevor's, lack of consistent, exceptional play, it's gonna be a problem because he's there till 2030 with apparently no trade clause. Um, with Shedeur, that's exactly what it is. And and now people are starting to see it. So now I'm starting to see people say things like, last week the message was He's not a fifth string QB. Now the question is, people are trying to prove he really was a first rounder, but what happened? That's where we are going into the week. I'm just on the other end of the end zone, waiting for them to realize and say out loud the part they don't want to say out loud because they want to go to the Super Bowl this year. They don't want to say what it is. He was number 17. And why is that a problem? Divide 32 and a half. And there's your answer.
Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Be sure to join our daily live stream and listen up to What She Said Sports on the go on Spotify. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Stay for another video.